Right now, on this very special Christmas show, we have got a brilliant feature, and it's all the idea of author Ben Baker. There he is with his wonderful Christmas jumper on. I love it.
Had to do it. Had to be
And
done.
Ben
It's
is
actually
here.
it's actually Super Mario.
Oh, look at that.
Super Mario Christmas. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ben, you've devised a perfect Christmas Day schedule, haven't you, really? This is
Well,
this is great.
for me, for me, I don't know if it's anyone else's perfect Christmas schedule, but for me, certainly, it is a day which I would be very happy to stay in front of the television all day for. Yeah.
There are some I have heard of, some I've not heard of.
Okay.
I guess we can put it on the screen. That's the beauty of YouTube. But do you want to start from the top? What would your children's entertainment be at the top, Ben?
Well, I mean, I've I've gone with a few sort of short cartoons at the start, from sort of before the news. Although I don't remember them being before the news, slightly before my time. But I love Paddington, so I put Paddington's Christmas in there. When the first, when the real sort of animated stop motion Paddington in
Yeah.
the drawn world, which is still just. I love the new films. I genuinely do, but I just think there is something just really magical about that version, certainly. Michael Horden and everything.
Michael
So
Horden, yeah. Do you know what? On your
uh,
next pick, though, I have never seen Will the Wisp. Never. And I know it's got
really,
Kenneth Williams. I know.
it does, yeah. And it's one of those weird things which genuinely is like all these. It's like there's a sentient TV set in it, and a magical caterpillar and all sorts of weird things going on in a wood. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I just it's just daft. It's odd, and I love it.
And Olive the Other Reindeer would be next. What was Olive the Other Reindeer? I
Mm.
don't remember that.
Well, you see, this is the thing. Like Channel 4 put this thing on in 2000, which was made the year before in America, which is based on a children's book, and it's basically about a dog who doesn't feel like a dog. He doesn't feel like she's not good at chewing up sleepers and stuff. And she hears on the radio for all of the other reindeer to come and help Santa because he can't pull his sleigh that night. And of course, Olive thinks to send Olive, the other reindeer. Then she goes on this adventure, and it's really nice. It shouldn't work at all. It's modern. It's got celebrity voicing, like Drew Barrymore is the voice of Olive and stuff. And Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson, is
Oh,
an
right.
angry postman on a tail trying to stop Christmas because obviously postmen have lots of work to do at Christmas. So he's got to stop her. And there's lots of new songs. Michael Stipe's in there as an angry reindeer.
What?
Yeah, it's really good fun. And Channel 4 put it out on Christmas Eve 2000 at like 4 p.m. And then they repeated it. It seemed to be on. That was like part of my thing as soon as I got the Christmas Radio Times looking for if they still were showing Oliver the Reindeer. And I think they did up to about 3 or 4 years ago. It like moved further and further back in the schedule. So
Yeah.
it was like 6 a.m. on Christmas Eve. But they were still showing it. And I'm not sure where it is now. It's definitely on YouTube, but I don't know if it's anywhere sort of on an actual streaming service.
Olive the Other
Uh,
Reindeer. And the next pick you've got is a Charlie Brown Christmas. Again, I haven't seen this. I've heard about it and but
you
never
might have
seen
heard the
it.
music. Um,
Ah.
the music is very. To me, is the sound of Christmas. It's an act called the Vince Guaraldi Trio. Basically, there's this kind of like jazzy. It's sort of. It's merry. It's lovely. I don't know. It's one of those soundtracks. I listen to it and I'm in the Christmas mood already. And I get with this, it's a very American thing. It's a little bit schmaltzy. It's from the mid 60s, so it's not for everyone. But I just think there's something really lovely about this whole thing. It's like a load of little sketches basically around Christmas and how some people fit in with it and some don't. And I don't know, it just makes me smile very much. It's a real American tradition, but I've taken it on here and it was shown a lot over here, certainly in the 70s. ITV had it. So it's something people might have seen, certainly
Ah.
over here. And if they haven't, recommend it.
So what I don't even know if it's a kids program. Emmett Otter's Jug Band
I
Christmas. Is it a kids program? Probably going to be wrong
mean,
there.
do you, what else would it be?
I don't have a clue. I didn't know if it was like some variety show. So I was thinking, what is it? Emmett Otter's
I
Jug
mean,
Band
if
Christmas.
there was a variety show that was presented by otters, which is my favorite animal of all time, I would be watching that in a heartbeat.
Get it
No, it's a
commissioned.
Jim Henson thing. It's a Jim Henson.
Ah,
It's actually introduced by Kermit the Frog, and it's just this lovely little tale about uh, sort of all these animals that live. It's sort of like Tales of the Riverbank, but everyone wears clothes and stuff, and kind of everyone's poor, and everyone decides to enter this talent contest on Christmas Eve, and the mum of Emmett Otter's mum enters it and doesn't tell Emmett to be a surprise. And Emmett enters with this band. He's got a jug band, obviously, which means somebody blows into a jug and there's a wash tub bass and stuff. And he don't tell his mum because he has to brew in a wash tub and stuff. And yeah, so it seems like it'll be sickly sweet, but it's really funny. I mean, it's Jim Henson, so it's going to look amazing. The puppetry is fantastic, and it's got all the regulars who did puppetry and stuff like that, and it's just around the same time as the Muppet Show's starting. It was made over here, so
right.
it's just a sweet thing. It's just a really nice thing, and again, these are not for everyone, but they're for me. They just put me in that mood straight away. Put me in that Christmassy, happy. Everyone's jolly.
There isn't enough programs like that though now. There really isn't. I mean, there's a great clip from the Muppets in 1978 because I think they were on before Morecambe and Wise on ITV, and at the end, after the end credits, Kermit the Frog goes and coming up next, the Morecambe and Wise show. And that's how
Mm,
big the Muppet
yeah.
Show was at the time.
They had the Christmas Day slot several years
Yeah,
in a row in Britain, yeah, and the Muppet movie also premiered because
it did.
ATV made it, so
Ah,
through ITC films and what have you, so they got to have first dibs on it on Christmas Day.
ah.
So yeah,
That explains that
so
one. Coming at 10 past 11, you've got the Noel Edmonds live Christmas breakfast show. I mean, he was on live on Christmas Day for years. What was? Did you remember watching this one then at the time?
it's one of my first Christmas TV memories. This one definitely, and it's for a generation that seems like Noel Edmonds equals Christmas morning TV. That's just they're just even though he only did live stuff like 5 times between 84 to 88, and then he does Christmas presents, which is fine, but a bit sad, and it's always very emotional. Whereas Live or whatever it was called that year was like, oh, we're going to send someone up in a helicopter and we're going to talk to someone's family and they're in Abu Dhabi, and we're going to use technology to its fullest and most extraordinary. And it was, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and when it didn't, it was as much fun because you got to see Noel sort of doing that padding, kind of making things work. Like the 85 one, which is the one I've picked in particular, is the one where Fergal Sharkey is about to do You Little Thief in air, mid-air basically, and he can't hear the talk back. So the music's playing and he's just going, I don't know what's going on. And he just cuts to Gary Davis and the Crankies looking on like that. Well, it turns up on blooper shows a lot, that one.
I'm gonna have to
But
find
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, you should.
I'm
The
gonna have
whole
to hunt it
thing is on
down.
YouTube, and it's well worth seeing it because again, it's sort of that mid period between technology coming on enough to be able to do this stuff, but still old school enough to be kind of nostalgic and but sort of thing they just don't do anymore.
No, they don't do it. 1:30, you have got
Mm.
a program that went out on my 9th birthday, the 23rd of
Oh, you
December,
a Christmas
1990.
baby as
I
well?
am Bullseye Christmas Special. I mean, there's some great Christmas specials of Bully. But what was special about the 1991 then?
Well, for a start, I'm a week after you, so I'm the 30th of December.
Ah, another
Uh,
yeah, New Year baby.
well, this one is they decide to get everyone to be Dickens characters. So, so Jim Bowen is Ebenezer Scrooge. Tony Green is Jacob Marley. The guests are Bobby Davro as Bob Cratchit, Bella Emberg as his wife, and Tiny Tim is Paul Shane. The natural choice for Tiny Tim, and he sort of comes on like doing a gormless face, and it's so much fun. And I picked that in particular because the Christmas after, my parents at the time owned a transport cafe, and they decided we're not cooking this year. We're going to go away. We're going to go to a nice hotel, and we went to Blackpool, this place called the Viking, which is still there on the
Still
front.
there, yeah, yeah.
Big old spot. And the Christmas Day entertainment was Jim Bowen
On Christmas
doing
Day.
Bullseye. Yeah, no, can you imagine
No,
how much they must have had to
I
shell
was
out for that?
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he came on and tried to play Bullseye with some of the people in the hotel. Now, they'd been drinking. Not me. I was a child, but I was about one of the only people who wasn't drunk because they've been drinking mimosas since 8 a.m. So he's trying and failing to play bullseye with people who are just, they are
Absolutely cabbaged.
gone. They're gone.
Oh my
So, and he ended up
goodness.
having a huff and left like about an hour and a half early.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, cabbied a bit of bully. 2 o'clock, Top of the Pops review of 84. Was that the one with, was it Lenny Henry presenting?
Yeah, he's Lenny Henry, yes. Yeah, it's him and sort of doing some of his characters of his so he's like Theolopus B. Wildebeest and PC Ganja and Delbert Wilkins, of course. But yeah, I thought he got over Top of the Pops, but the second whenever you had two Top of the Popsies, you always got sort of more interesting stuff in the second one, like because it's just number ones, the Christmas Day one, really, isn't it? And
Yeah.
let's be honest, the best stuff after a certain time does not get to number one. And so you get stuff on there like Neil from the Young Ones doing
Hole in
Hole
my
in My
shoe.
Shoe and stuff.
Oh, great
Yeah,
song.
so you get some more interesting acts basically. And yeah, it's really fun. It's a really fun show. And I guess, yeah, again, I'm sort of putting together Christmas Day. You got to have a bit of pops at 2 o'clock.
Absolutely. I mean, interesting as well because you've picked another Christmas 84 pick at 3 o'clock. Mary Poppins, which only premiered in 1984 on terrestrial television,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah, so this is the thing. Mary Poppins, like we always assume Disney, obviously, because Disney Time was on. And I looked up when Mary Poppins was basically on Disney Time for about 15 years in a row, but never the full thing. It was always, you got a scene from lots of different films. And the Disney Vault, as such, didn't really open properly until the early 80s. I think the first Disney film was The Gnome-mobile, which was shown in full, like when you got to
Right.
see the full thing, and that was like dangerously exciting back then. It would say because like now you can just get them all. You go on Disney Plus, whatever, they're all
Yeah.
there. But to actually go, wow, the full thing is going to be on. It's quite good, and I think Mary Poppins is a good one because not only is it just it's wonderful, great songs, it looks beautiful and everything, but you can fall asleep during it if you've had your dinner and wake up and you've not really you can keep going with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not struggling with it, and that's for the dads out there. That's my gift to you.
I like that. 5:15, another kind of Jim Henson pick, Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah, this is a 1987 special from America, which was prime time there. And basically, the whole idea is the Muppets go to Fozzie's mum's for Christmas, the holidays. And when I say the Muppet, all of the Fraggles are in there. The Muppet Babies are in there. There's all the Sesame Street characters, and everyone basically. There's just a room full of Muppets and just lots of little bits and bobs, songs and sketches and stuff. It's just a really nice thing, and it aired here. Sort of a kids program, like it was always quite an early thing if it was shown over here, and it's genuinely, again, it's one of those things which some people just wouldn't get on with at all. But it's just I've said in the book that if a Muppet Christmas Carol is the heart of Christmas, then this is the soul. This is yeah, it's fun. It's got the the what you call it, electric mayhem going wild and stuff. It's just, yeah, it's great fun. I really love it.
Oh, you've picked a brilliant one next. Mel Smith in Father Christmas, which me and the kids,
Yeah.
it's still on every year on Channel 4. It is brilliant.
Mm. I'm glad it is as well because Channel 4, the Channel 4 I grew up with and you grew up with is not Channel 4 now.
No.
Channel 4 now is just another ITV, and it's a real genuine shame because it used to be a really interesting sort of middle ground between sort of really arty stuff and really uh, good ideas. And obviously, the Snowman had been a huge thing since it first started in its second year. I think it was the second year of Channel 4. And then Father Christmas came in 1991. And that's not maudlin like the Snowman. It's funny, it's big and silly. And as you say, Mel Smith is brilliant as Father Christmas, we basically get to see his life between deliveries. So he goes on holiday and stuff, and goes to casino, and he just potters around and stuff with his pets. And it's just, again, it's that Raymond Briggs animation, so it's just lovely to look at and beautifully made. And again, it's just, it fills the heart.
It
It fills
does.
the heart. It
It
really does.
does. Next,
Yeah.
you've picked my favourite episode, I think, of Only Fools and Horses as well, the Jolly Boys Out, and I absolutely love that episode.
Yes, I was saying the first one is obviously to Hull and Back. That's really where sort of the first feature length sitcom film was, if you will.
Yeah,
And obviously
yeah.
they've done sitcom films in the cinema, and nearly always are awful. But yet John Sullivan worked out this way of doing it, and yeah, I think the Joy Boys Acting is my favourite because it's not only is it obviously it's incredibly funny, but it's got a lot of character stuff in there, a lot of sort of stuff, because obviously they meet up with Raquel again, and that sort of sets the next series off, and the future of Del, kind of as it's moving towards sort of adding drama elements to it, and also it's just really really funny.
It
and
is.
and a bus explodes, which is probably quite expensive on a BBC budget.
I was gonna say, I bet it was.
So.
Next, you've got 2020, the very first Kenny Everett episode for the BBC, which was on Christmas Eve 81,
Yes.
I think, weren't it?
Yes. Yeah, it is. I think I love Kenny Everett. I love the Thames stuff. I love the BBC stuff. But this is the peak. This is the first thing he does to the BBC, and it's full of jokes. About how like supposedly Thames didn't want him and BBC One didn't want him and stuff like that. Like the opening scene is him literally being dumped in a sack outside the BBC and stuff. And it's a wonderful special because you got lots of great gags there, but you've also got Kenny wandering the corridors of the BBC, looking at various doors and stuff, and he's like, VT ops, that must mean videotape operators and stuff like that, and is this MY? Oh, it must be Mike Yarwood, and then there's BUM, and he goes, oh, must be broadcasting under manager. And he opens the door, and of course, it's a giant bottom. He goes, no, it's a bum.
It's
Which then Terry
oh,
Wogan takes on with great force. And it's just, again, it's just so funny. And it's quite, I wouldn't say edgy, but it's quite subversive for something which the BBC put on Christmas Eve.
yeah.
It really was naughty, but in a really sort of gleeful way, not in a malicious way, just in a let's throw stuff at the wall and see what works. And again, it's a thing I really miss from current TV is the big sketch show. You just don't get them
You
anymore.
don't get
Certainly
him.
ones with money, and a
Yeah.
budget.
You don't
So
get him at all.
yeah.
Next, you've got a brilliant, it was a family drama. I remember watching it at the time, Bernard and the Genie.
Yeah, Richard Curtis drama, and I have spent the last 25 years despising Richard Curtis. So, well, maybe the last 20. Love Actually. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like it. I can't.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
I would happily commit Harry Carey with a piece of holly and mistletoe if you allowed me to, rather than watch that film. It's not for me. Put it that way. But this is a thing he did just for TV, and it's apparently he did it because his family was sat watching Christmas TV in 1990, and they watched Miss Marple, and it was all suicide and death and misery. And he went, "I'm going to have to write something fun, something for the family," and it proves how strong the BBC stuff was back then that he didn't even make the Christmas Day. It was the 23rd of December it went
Yeah.
out. And it's Alan Cumming is basically a guy, Bernard, who's down on his luck and finds a genie who is Lenny Henry, of course, and basically helps him get his life back together. And it's just, it's a big daft romp where sort of Lenny's enjoying 90s London and everything. You know, they got to see Terminator 2. that really puts it into perspective as to when it was. And Alan Cumming is Bernard, and that's one of the first things he'd have done that was on a big scale after
Yeah.
Victor and Barry. And Rowan Atkinson is the baddie, which is a rarity. He is a really good bugger, shall we say.
Next you've got, well, it was the swan song for the BBC era, Eric and Ernie's Christmas Show 1977. Great episode though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there were quite a few really, really strong ones, which I would be happy to watch. I don't think there's any particularly bad ones, to be honest with you. I think 71's a very good one as well.
Yeah.
But 77 is the peak. Obviously, that and Yarwood is supposedly the biggest Christmas audiences of all time. So you've got to pay homage if you can to that. And it is full of stuff that you just go, that bit. Like, how are they all from this set? But it's, you know, we've heard for years now just how many months and went into the crafting of it to make it, considering it's got one writer or one credited writer anyway. It is just like an hour of brilliant comedy, and then it ends with Elton John doing this lovely little song
Just on his own, at the end, didn't it? Yeah.
which hasn't even been released at that point. Shine On Through. It's from the album that came out the year after.
Right.
And I think that's a brave thing. It's just to go like, and now we're going to have 5 minutes just having this tune. And that's how it ends, with them as cleaning ladies watching him. And then they're gone. That's it. That's the BBC era done with. And obviously, it would never the same on Thames. Oh, there's still good stuff in there, but yeah, it's classic for a reason.
It is. No, it is. I have seen the next program because I think it had a repeat on BBC 4 a few years ago. Smith and Jones is the homemade Christmas video. It was brilliant.
It did, and it's one of those things again. You could get it on there was a Smith and Jones DVD.
It was.
There's one of the extras on it, but that goes for stupid money now. So good luck if you can get that. Do, because it's brilliant.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's in. I think it was series 4 of Last Smith and Jones had this running sketch in everyone, which was about a family with one of these newfangled video cameras filming their lives. It was just sketches done, and they're quite a rough and ready family, but it's not sneery or anything like that. It's just it's just a working class family, and this is their Christmas and like getting the tree and do the turkey, and it's very much an 80s thing, and it laughs. I was going to laugh a minute, but that would do it a disservice, to say the least, because it's incredibly funny, and as I say, it never sneers. It could be quite sneery, and it's the sort of thing which basically would be a sitcom. So like the Royal Family is like a drier version of that. I think it would, if they'd wanted to spin it off into its own sitcom, it would have worked really well. Yeah, I think. But it's a little treat, and I'm hoping BBC 4 maybe pulled it out again this year. We will see.
We will see. And 2 more picks. You've got A Hard Day's Night. I didn't realise that premiered over the Christmas period in 1970.
Yeah, well, there's a few Christmas Beatles seasons on the BBC, and for some people there is a definite connection between the two, and also obviously because the Beatles solo-wise did a lot of Christmas tunes, which are still very memorable today. But yeah, I think it's just one of those films. I love A Hard Day's Night. It's just a lot of fun. It's easy to watch, and that's what you want at the end of the day. You just want something nice and chilled out, just to calm the day down, and it's all it's all lovely. It's all gear and beat and
well, then you're going from that to the old grey whistle test. And this was a Christmas Eve. Was this live on Christmas Eve 1980?
Yes, it was. Yeah, there was a long, maybe about 10 years or so, when BBC 2 would have a concert on Christmas Eve, and if you had the option to put stereo speakers up, it'd be simulcast on Radio 1. If you're in an area that had it, and I love this one. It's a great gig, in particular. Ian, Jerry, and the Blockheads, just about to split up. They literally they must have booked them before their album came out, Laughter, which bombed. So the BBC were very brave, and also it's Ian Dury, who, quite opinionated act, but they're all on form. This is brilliant, and if that was it, it would be a fine sort of bow on it. And I think I just like the idea of there being music at the end of the day to sort of just for everyone else who's staying up a little bit later and doesn't want to watch ITV Night Screen.
TV Night Screen.
Job Finder's still on.
That is a fine schedule, or that. You've got
Long one.
you have got a new book out, shall we
I
say?
do. I
Um,
do.
called Kiss
I can
Your
show it.
Television. Oh, look
Just show
at
television.
that. There's some.
Because I'm a Poundland book man. Just for a class baker.
It's got some
Yeah.
interesting subjects though. Like one of them, you talk about exclusive kind of series VHS episodes, things that went to VHS. I remember me and my brother buying the "They Think It's All Over" ones, and they
Mm-hmm.
were massive at the time, weren't they? I mean, there's
They were huge, and yeah, they're in here, and it's for those who don't. So I remember it was a very short-lived phenomenon. It was literally like 3 years it was gone, but it was an episode of something off the telly, but longer. So that meant it had swearing in generally. So there was "Have I Got
yeah.
News for You?" Did two. There were two. I think it's all over ones. Shooting Stars. Did one.
Yeah.
Never mind the Buzzcocks. But I think if anyone remembers them, it's the soaps that got involved and the Coronation Street one that
Oh,
came
I
out in
forgot the
'95.
cruise.
Yeah, the cruise one, which was like sold, I think 70,000 copies, something like that. It sold hugely. And then 4 months later, ITV put it on telly, and people were absolutely outraged because it was just like, there'd been no sort of warning that they were going to
Yeah.
do this. And yeah, people were not pleased. So by the time they'd done another one, which is called Viva Las Vegas, and it's basically the Duckworths going off to the second honeymoon in Las Vegas. It's written by Russell T Davies.
I
By the
can't
sound
say
of
I've seen that one. I think I've seen bits of the cruise. I haven't
it.
seen the Las Vegas
It's,
one.
it's all right. It's all right. It's
Fair enough.
basically a big dynasty parody. But on the cover of that one, they had to say, "This will not be on television for at least 3 years." So they didn't learn the lesson particularly. But yeah, again. I've tried to cover a lot of stuff in this book, which I kind of, oh yeah, I remember that. Like I've done a big article about tea time television, which like programs which before it was just Simpsons or Richard Osman or whatever he does every single night. It was like a lovely panoply of different stuff, and there's like
You also
the
mentioned over Freeview Heaven and Hell. Now, I tell you,
yes.
what would you, without giving too much away, then, what do you normally cringe at when you're flicking through the Freeview channels?
I mean, how long have you got? In this particular case, I actually asked the social medias to say, what do you think is the worst channel out there? What do you think is the best channel out there? And the worst ones came out as being Channel 5, Great Christmas.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. ITV2, which is
See,
what I watched a whole day of.
ITVB, I'd probably
So
put in that list as well. I can't stand.
I possibly would have picked that if I hadn't have had to watch an entire day of it. So I think
Oh
having to watch
no.
ITV2 from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. was literally torture. It was genuinely awful. It was like it. People have said it's the funniest bit in the book. Hopefully, my suffering brings people joy. But yeah, it was. It's such a reheated. I say it's like someone putting their head under the duvet and a stale Trump from 3 months ago coming back around. It's like it's all the same, stale rubbish.
Oh, but
Uh,
it
but
does
man,
it.
but the
It
good
seems to be on a
stuff
loop as
was
well. A lot of it, doesn't it? I mean,
it was. I mean, they were showing stuff from 10 years, showing Guinness World Records, and it was already 10 years out of date. So it's like
oh,
I'm fairly sure like this is why are you showing anyway. But at least
yeah.
I got to see good programs, and people voted for enjoying Talking Pictures TV.
Oh,
and
what?
Rewind TV, this fairly new one.
There's some great picks on those there. I mean, I know
Mm.
there's a lot of archive things on there now. Obviously, we've got kind of the three That's TV channels that, although they don't kind of plug what they're
Yeah.
showing in advance very well, I don't think.
No, no, they're terrible
Rewind's
for
got
that.
some American things on there now. It's
Mm.
got Bewitched, I think, starting, and Fantasy
Mm-hmm.
Island, and
Married with Children.
yeah, Married with
So,
Children. I know, I was quite, yeah,
yeah.
it has. And like I say, Talking Pictures, there's a good choice that delves into the archive now on Freeview, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I pitched them two together with their schedules to see which one comes out on top. And
Ooh.
obviously, you have to read the book to find out which one. But both of them do certain stuff very well. Whether it's films, television, sitcoms, dramas, and stuff, they've all got all life is there. And sadly, also Mike Reed.
And oh, he is. I love Run Around though. I know you where you got.
No, not that. The other one.
No.
The other one.
Oh, I thought you meant
The,
Mike Reed and Run Around. I was
well,
going to say even
both
the
on
kids have
there.
been watching
They
Run
are
Around.
both
Yeah, they're
on
both
there.
on there. That's true. That's confusing.
It's like the yin yang of Reeds.
The other, well, we won't go into detail on them because they'll have to read the book. But you've got an interesting feature on Jasper Carrot, and I know what that'll refer to, so I won't give it away. But was it live? That's all I will ask. Was it genuinely live? The program was it? Oh, you have to
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
book.
Carrot Confidential. There's
Yeah.
basically a full look through, sort of a little bit of Carrot Slip and a lot of Carrot Confidential, and it's just trying to sort of recapture all the topicality of it.
Yeah.
Work out what, because every episode started with him coming from his dressing room to the studio, and all these wacky things happened around him. So I try to translate that, but also just looking at that excitement of live TV, which we have live TV still, but again, nothing funny or interesting is going to happen on the one show. Is it? It's like it's
No.
been designed to be homogenous dullness. And yeah, there's something like Jasper Carrot where literally he may say anything. He probably wouldn't. A lot of it was quite safe, quite sort of middle of the road comedy, but the possibility, um, yeah, I sort of tried to tap into why that was so exciting, especially for me as a kid
Well, wasn't there?
watching
Was
it.
it the episode of An Audience with Jasper Carrot on LWT that it was that where he changed the channel to show what was on
Mm-hmm.
the on
Yeah.
BBC or whatever at the same time to prove it was live
Yes,
or
yes.
something?
He says like just to prove it's live, and he shows, and it's like the television Shakespeare's on BBC Two. He goes, Shakespeare, he's dead, you know. It's that's a brilliant special. I partly wrote that because people just don't talk about Jasper Carrot anymore.
No.
He seems to have kind of stopped being of television seems to have forgotten
I,
his
and I love the
talent.
detectives. Absolutely love the detectives. That seems to have been forgotten about, not been repeated in
Yeah, that's a little
years.
bit, and that was huge. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
And the detectives was created by the two of the men who went on to create Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
Yeah.
and
Steve
obviously one
White
of them
and
has
Steve
gone
Knight
on
and
to
Mike Whitehall,
do,
weren't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and obviously Stephen Knight has gone on to do Peaky Blinders.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why it's Birmingham based. It's all it's
Ah.
all tied in. It's the Birmingham Mafia, I tell you. And Jasper Carrot, because there was a med through Celador, he was a big early shareholder in that, so he became an absolute multi-millionaire when Millionaire sold around the world, which is why he sort of slowed down a bit. And I can't blame him, really, can you?
No, absolutely, you can't. Just before we run out, tell us what other books that we're going to put the link on the screen, but tell us what other books you've got out there that people can get from yourself, Ben.
Well, I've got a few books. As obviously we talked about Christmas there, and I've talked about it with almost like someone who's written 4 books about the subject and knows Christmas TV, specifically the 80s and 90s. They've got their own book each of Christmas programs. I'm very proud of those. And last year I wrote a book we spoke about children's ITV,
We did.
sort of 40 great shows of that as the TRTV channel was shut down. And I've written a few quiz books as well if you want something to while away those hours wishing these programs were on television. Then you can find those, and you'll have the link there. And it's yes, it's always nice to sort of finish the book and then talk to nice people about these things like
Well,
yourself.
Oh no, thank you. All the best with Kiss Your Television, and thank you for sharing the perfect schedule with us, Ben. And all the best for 2025, and keep up the writing.
Thank you very much.